A dry wind sweeps across a land cracked by drought. The sun burns with a merciless fire. Fields lie dead, rivers turn to dust. And the people of Israel have forgotten their God. 3 years without rain. 3 years of silence from heaven. 3 years since a man named Elijah spoke one terrifying prophecy. There will be no rain until I say so. But now, the time has come. He walks alone through the desert, cloak whipping in the wind, eyes fixed on the horizon. His mission is clear, to call fire from heaven, to prove, once and for all, who the true God is. The land of Israel is ruled by King Ahab, a man torn between fear and pride, and beside him stands Jezebel, the queen who worships Baal, the god of storms. She has filled the land with idols, temples, and false prophets. 450 prophets of Baal eat at her table. They promise rain, they promise life, but the sky remains silent. The people are confused. They pray to Baal at sunrise, and whisper to the God of Abraham at sunset. They limp between two opinions, afraid to choose. Elijah watches this from afar, hidden by the brook, fed by ravens, sustained by a widow's faith. He has waited, he has listened, and now God's voice breaks the silence. Go, show yourself to Ahab. I will send rain upon the earth. Elijah walks boldly into the palace courtyard. His sandals stir up dust as soldiers glare. Whispers ripple through the hall. He's alive. The prophet lives. Then Ahab appears. His voice cracks like thunder, filled with anger and fear. Is that you, you troubler of Israel? Elijah doesn't flinch. I have not troubled Israel, he says. But you and your father's house have abandoned the Lord and followed Baal. The king's face hardens, but Elijah steps closer. Now, send for all Israel to meet me on Mount Carmel. Bring the prophets of Baal and the prophets of Asherah who eat at Jezebel's table. Ahab hesitates, but something in Elijah's eyes makes him obey. The challenge has been set. A nation will watch. A God will answer. The sun climbs high over Mount Carmel. A sea of people gathers, farmers, soldiers, priests, families. The prophets of Baal arrive in bright robes, waving incense, shouting prayers. Elijah stands alone. One man against hundreds. One voice against a nation. He steps forward. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him. Silence. No one answers. Only the wind moves through the crowd. Then Elijah lifts his hand. Today we will see. You call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of the Lord. The God who answers by fire, he is God. A murmur spreads like a spark. The people nod. It is well spoken. The stage is set. 2 altars, 2 sacrifices, 2 prayers that will reach the heavens. Morning breaks. The prophets of Baal prepare their altar with fine wood and a perfect bull. They shout, they sing, they dance in circles. Baal, answer us. Baal, send fire. Hours pass. The sun burns hotter. Their voices grow hoarse. Still, nothing. Elijah watches, arms folded, face calm. At noon, he calls out, his voice dripping with irony. Shout louder. Perhaps your God is deep in thought, or busy, or traveling. Maybe he's asleep, and you must wake him. The prophets grow desperate. They cut themselves with knives until blood flows. Their cries echo across the mountain, but the sky remains empty. No fire, no sound, no God. The people shift uncomfortably. Some look toward Elijah. He stands motionless, his eyes fixed upward. Then, quietly, he speaks. Come near to me. And the crowd begins to move, step by step, drawn by something they cannot explain. Before their eyes, Elijah begins to rebuild the old altar of the Lord, stone by stone. 12 stones for 12 tribes, each placed with reverence and memory. He digs a trench around it. He arranges the wood. He places the bull on top. Then he does something unthinkable. He turns to the people. "Fill 4 large jars with water," he says, "and pour it on the offering and the wood." They stare. Water is scarce. Every drop is precious, but they obey. The water soaks the altar. Elijah says, "Do it again." They pour a second time. The ground darkens. The trench fills. "Do it a third time," he commands. They obey again. Now the wood drips with water. The bull glistens. The trench overflows. And Elijah steps back. One man, one altar, against the silence of heaven. He lifts his face to the sky. He speaks softly, not in frenzy, not in fear. "O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant. Answer me, Lord. Answer me, so these people may know that you are God, and that you turn their hearts back again." The crowd holds its breath. Even the wind seems to pause. Then, for a heartbeat, all creation stands still. The mountain holds its breath. The crowd waits in trembling silence. Then, suddenly, a roar like thunder, a blaze like the sun tearing through the clouds. It strikes the altar with unstoppable fury. Flames leap high into the sky. The water in the trench hisses and vanishes. The wood, the stones, even the dust, consumed in a heartbeat. The people scream and fall to their faces. "The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God." The sound echoes across the mountain through the valleys into every trembling heart. For the first time in years, Israel remembers. The prophets of Baal fall silent. Their voices are gone. Their idols are ashes in the wind. Elijah's eyes burn with divine fire. He calls to the people, "Seize the prophets of Baal. Let not one escape." The crowd surges forward. The false prophets are taken to the brook Kishon, and there their deception ends. It's not vengeance, it's justice. It's the cleansing of a land that had forgotten its maker. As the sun dips behind the hills, Elijah stands alone once more on Mount Carmel. The altar smokes softly. The air hums with the memory of fire. But the story isn't over. For while the fire has fallen, the rain has not yet come. Elijah turns to King Ahab, who watches in stunned silence. "Go, eat and drink," Elijah says, "for there is the sound of abundance of rain." Ahab rides off toward his tent, but Elijah climbs higher, to the very top of the mountain. There he bows down to the earth, his face between his knees, his heart fixed on heaven. He tells his servant, "Go now, look toward the sea." The servant runs, scans the horizon. Nothing. Blue sky, empty clouds, silence. "Elijah," he says, "there is nothing." Elijah whispers, "Go again." The servant runs again, looks again, returns again. Still nothing. Once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6. Each time the same answer. Nothing, no cloud, no wind, no sign. But Elijah doesn't move. He doesn't speak. He just keeps praying. Hands clenched in the dust, tears mixing with the dirt beneath him. The servant hesitates before going again. Maybe he's tired. Maybe he's starting to doubt. But something in Elijah's silence gives him courage. He climbs the ridge one more time. He looks to the sea. And there, on the farthest edge of the horizon, a tiny cloud rises, small as a man's hand. He runs back, breathless. "There is a cloud," he gasps, "as small as a man's hand, rising out of the sea." Elijah lifts his head. His eyes fill with tears, not of despair, but of promise. He rises to his feet. "Go," he says. "Tell Ahab, prepare your chariot and go down before the rain stops you." Darkness gathers over the sea. Winds howl across the mountain. The first drop of rain falls, then another, then a flood. Within moments the heavens open. Lightning flashes, thunder rolls. The land that burned beneath drought now drinks deeply. Ahab races his chariot through the storm. The rain soaks his robes, the horses' hooves pound the soaked earth, and behind him Elijah runs, cloak flying, feet striking the mud, strength surging through him like the fire that fell from heaven. The hand of the Lord is upon him. He outruns the king's chariot all the way to Jezreel. The drought is over. The heavens have spoken, and the people of Israel have seen the power of their God. But as the rain falls, another storm is brewing, not in the sky, but in a queen's heart. Jezebel has heard what happened, and her fury will soon shake the prophet to his core. The fire that fell from heaven proved God's power, but the fire within Elijah's heart, that will be tested next. The rain keeps falling through the night, every drop a song of victory. But in Jezreel, not everyone is rejoicing. Queen Jezebel's rage burns hotter than any fire from heaven. Her pride is wounded, her prophets are gone, and her throne feels suddenly small beneath the weight of Elijah's God. She sends a message, a single threat that cuts like a sword. By this time tomorrow I will make your life like one of them. Elijah receives the message, and fear grips his heart. The man who faced 450 prophets, the man who called down fire from heaven, now runs for his life. He runs through the night, past villages, through wilderness. His sandals tear, his cloak catches on thorns, until finally he collapses under a broom tree, exhausted, alone, broken. He whispers to the dust, "It is enough. Take my life, Lord. I am no better than my fathers." This is not the prophet of Mount Carmel. This is a man emptied of strength, a man crushed by fear and failure. He falls asleep, ready to die, but God is not finished with him. A gentle touch wakes him. An angel stands beside him. "Get up and eat," the angel says. Elijah looks, and there by his head is bread baked on hot stones and a jar of water. He eats, he drinks, he sleeps again. A second time the angel touches him. "Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you." So Elijah eats and drinks again. And with that heavenly food, he walks 40 days and 40 nights, until he reaches Mount Horeb, the mountain of God. Elijah finds a cave and hides inside. The mountain is silent, cold, and dark. Then a voice, gentle but commanding, fills the air. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" Elijah pours out his heart. "I have been very zealous for you, Lord, but the people have forsaken your covenant. They've torn down your altars, killed your prophets. I'm the only one left, and they seek my life." The voice says, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord." And Elijah obeys. A mighty wind tears across the rocks. Stones shatter, trees snap in two. But the Lord is not in the wind. Then an earthquake shakes the ground beneath him. The cave trembles. The mountain cracks. But the Lord is not in the earthquake. Then fire burns across the cliffs, blinding, roaring, consuming. But the Lord is not in the fire. And after the fire, a still, small voice, soft, gentle, almost like a whisper carried on the wind. Elijah covers his face with his cloak. He knows this voice. It's the same voice that called him years ago beside the brook, the same voice that said, "Go," the same voice that never left him, even when he thought he was alone. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" The same question. But now the answer comes from a humbled heart. Elijah whispers, "I am listening." And the voice replies, "Go, return. You are not alone. I have reserved 7,000 in Israel who have not bowed to Baal." On Mount Carmel, God proved his power with fire, but on Mount Horeb, he revealed his heart in a whisper, because sometimes God shows his might to capture our attention, and other times, he speaks softly to heal our souls. Elijah thought the fire was the victory, but the whisper was the real miracle. It was mercy. It was love. It was God saying, I'm still here, even when you're afraid, even when you run. And through Elijah's journey, we learn this timeless truth. God's greatest power isn't only seen in what He burns, but in what He restores. There are moments in life when we feel like Elijah, when we fought our battles, stood for what's right, and still find ourselves running, tired, lonely, unsure. But even then, God knows where we are. He finds us under the broom tree. He feeds us in the wilderness. He whispers when the world is too loud. Maybe you've been waiting for fire, some big sign that God is still with you. But maybe what you need right now is the whisper, that quiet assurance in your heart that says, I am here. You're not alone. Keep going. Because even when your faith flickers, God's fire never fades. And when your strength ends, His whisper begins. As the rain fell on Israel that day, it wasn't just water from the sky. It was mercy poured out on a people who had forgotten their God. And today, that same mercy still falls. Over deserts of doubt. Over hearts that have gone dry. Over anyone brave enough to say, Lord, I need you again. If this story moved you, let it remind you that your God still answers by fire and still speaks by whisper. Share this video with someone who needs that reminder tonight. And if you believe the fire of God still falls, stay with us, subscribe, and let His stories keep your faith burning, because the same God who sent fire on Mount Carmel is the same God who still speaks in the silence today. The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God.